All right. I think I see Jeanette already in. Okay. Sanjay, if you could make her the co-host, so she can share her
Sure.
presentation. And meanwhile, yes, Sanjay.
Already done. Good morning,
Oh,
Janet.
perfect. Thank you. Thank you.
You
All
are on
right,
mute.
guys.
I'm on mute. Yeah. Good morning. Good morning, everyone. Can everyone hear and see me?
Yes. Let me
Yep.
take
Good.
Jeanette to introduce you, and then maybe you can share your screen and
Yeah,
explain.
absolutely.
All right, guys. So, well, the last year, that is 2020, and this year 2021, of course, have been among the most challenging years that the world saw and experienced in the recent times, right? While the global pandemic brought success to some companies, we also saw failures to many others. Now, this pops up a question in our minds: were the successful companies better prepared, or did they respond differently? Our next speaker for the day brings to the table more than 30 years of business and technical management experience. She's part of the CXO level at Saxo Bank, and today she'll help us unveil these challenges that Saxo Bank has faced in these turbulent times, such as market volatility or significant increase in customer numbers or their activity or the need to run the business from home offices or remote locations across the globe. What did really Saxo Bank do to tackle all these challenges, and what did they learn from all of them? Please join me in welcoming Jeanette Slaslona.
Thank you very much for that lovely introduction. Okay, let me share my screen. I'm a little nervous about it actually letting me share the right thing. So just wait one moment. I don't know whether it's sharing now.
Not yet.
No. This is the bit I was worried about because I'm on the web version of the system. There we are. Now. Okay.
Perfect.
Bit now? Good. Okay. Let me just, okay. So can everyone see my screen? That's the main thing.
Yes, Janet.
Yep. Okay. What view am I in, by the way? Am I in a normal presentation or any special view?
No, it's a presentation view.
Presentation.
Great. Okay, superb, because I'm never sure what my system will do. Okay, so as you heard in the introduction, I work at Saxo Bank. I'm the COO in Enterprise Platform Engineering, and I've been very, very curious about how companies have dealt with the Corona crisis and the pandemic. And to be honest, when I agreed to do this talk, I thought it would be over. I thought I would be talking exclusively in past tense, but unfortunately, that is not the case. So I've really, really thought long and hard about the concepts that Saxo has employed and why some companies have done well and some haven't. So moving into the presentation. So I strongly believe that minimal viable bureaucracy has had a part to play in how Saxo have dealt with the whole pandemic. So what is minimum viable bureaucracy? It's not a term that you might hear outside of Saxo. I haven't heard it before, and it's something that was new to me when I joined the company. But really, if you break down the words, it makes sense and it speaks for itself. So what is the least or smallest amount you can do that is capable of allowing us to still work successfully and have feasible change in the bank? And then bureaucracy obviously is established methods. So the definitions are easy to understand, but what does it really mean? And to really get to that, we need to see what happened to Saxo in 2020 and how, in my opinion, MVB helped it thrive. So who are Saxo Bank? For those on this in this meeting who don't know who Saxo Bank are, we're a fintech. We connect clients directly to the global capital markets via apps that we develop in-house, and we deliver to mobile phones, to traders, to computers, etc. So it's a very complex company, but it is really a technology company who happen to trade on the stock markets. We're headquartered in Copenhagen. We've got client assets of more than 500 billion DKK, and we've got over 2,000 people working for the company all across the world. So it's a big global organization. We were set up in 1982 by Kim Forney, and he is still our CEO and very present and very active. We're all quite accustomed to seeing him walking around the offices. So where were we in 2019 before all of this happened? Saxo were actually not doing as well as they usually do. So we'd had a pretty tough year in 2019. We reported a net profit of 40 million DKK, which was significantly less than the year before. We were trying to integrate a new company that we'd bought called Binkbank, and we were struggling. Not to the point where we thought things were going to fall apart, but we were having to take some pretty tough decisions. So the item in blue that I've got on this screen here is what was actually reported to the press. So it's open information. But what Saxo decided to do at the end of 2019 is slightly batten down the hatches. So we reduced our headcount slightly. We weren't really sure what was going to happen. So we went back to basics a little bit. And then COVID happened. So this is how we started in 2020, with an uncertain business environment for us. And suddenly, in March 2020, companies were closing their offices. They were sending their staff home. Some companies seemed to be able to deal with the pandemic, but others just could not. They weren't ready. They didn't have the business model to be able to thrive. But other companies really did well. I mean, look at Zoom. Who had ever heard of Zoom before the pandemic? I certainly hadn't. Now I talk about Zooming people. I mean, it's become almost a word in our language. So the company decided, Saxo decided to sort of ride the wave during the pandemic. We started over communicating with our clients. We encouraged them to trust us with their money. We invested in our systems. We expanded capacity. We decided to hold firm on the strategic plan. We may have closed our offices, but because we're a digital business, we remained fully open to clients, and we were able to continue as before, just very, very differently. So these are some of the headlines that we will all have seen during the pandemic, to give a little bit more context as to what was going on around the world. So it was a difficult time for job seekers. A lot of people lost their jobs. But conversely, Saxo didn't lay off anyone in 2020. In fact, we hired a huge number of people and consultants to help us through. Many staff took on extra hours, they took on new responsibilities, they adjusted their hours to fit with demand. And there was this feeling in Saxo that we were all in this together. And we carried on having our weekly Saxo calls, even from home, where the senior management would let us know on a week-by-week basis what was going on. So we were very responsive, very quick to communicate. There was a global recession, and we're still in that recession now. So that brings a lot of uncertainty across the world, and that can be good and it can be bad for financial markets. So it's unclear to us really at the moment what the long-term impact will be on global economies. So, you know, we're still in this sort of uncertain world even now, but we're continuing to hold strong at Saxo. So the stock market. So let's look at the business that Saxo were in. Global shares were all over the place during the pandemic, as you can see. Stock markets were peaking and fluxing and moving around all over the place. Now, market volatility arguably supports our business model. So it's actually good news for companies like Saxo. In a volatile market, we can support our clients by helping them with their investments. We can advise them on how to move. We have online chats with many of the newspapers about what's happening with the market. So our Saxo Strats team are constantly advising people. And we've seen our clients respond to that really positively and move their money around and try and stay ahead of the pandemic and the impact on the shares. So for a business like Saxo, as I've said, our money is made when investors or traders buy or sell shares and stocks. So market volatility drew customers to Saxo in droves. So in 2019, our typical unique user count was around 200,000. So that's 200,000 unique users logged in at any one point. By the end of 2020, it was treble that number, so 600,000. You can imagine what that does to IT systems. They were pushed to the limit. We needed to ensure that clients could log on and trade 24/7, while those own clients, they were working from home. We had to close our offices, as I've already said, and we were operating across multiple time zones. And clients wanted to protect their money, so that we had to be safe. There was a lot more fraud going on, a lot more hackers attacking systems. So what a challenge for Saxo and for Global IT, the team that we all work in. It was a really, really challenging time. So what happened? So at the beginning of 2021, this was the statement that was put out on Saxo Bank's website. We welcomed a record number of new clients to Saxo in the year, and this continues. We are now at 660,000 active clients. The total client base has grown more than 230% since 2018. And our client assets, as I said before, have reached 500 billion. So this is really what my talk is about. I wanted to give you some context though as to what was going on. So why did Saxo thrive? Was it luck? Was it judgment? Was it just because the markets are volatile? Or was it a bit of both? And, was there some thought that went into this? I think to understand it better, it's necessary to understand the business and how it operates. Saxo feels like a startup. Anyone who works there will tell you that. The company has high energy. It takes risks, calculated ones albeit, but it does take risks, and it's very flexible. Some may actually say that Saxo is truly agile, not just in the IT function, but throughout. The IT department has itself certainly embraced agile and operates many methods, so Scrum, Kanban, Flow, but something really changed 3 years ago. There was an influx of new management in IT, my boss being one of them, and there were quite a few across the group. And I was actually there at the same time, so I joined with them. And I've witnessed the changes as they've been implemented, and it's been really exciting to see. And I do believe that over the last 12 months, it's some of those foundations that were set, that started 3 years ago, that really has been the key to Saxo's success. And that's around its ability to be agile as a business and minimum viable bureaucracy. So, what is business agility? And we all know this term, and I've literally just copied this from Scaled Agile because they say it best. Business agility is the ability to compete and thrive in the digital age by quickly responding to market changes. And that's exactly what Saxo are now in a position to be able to do. In 2018, when I started with Saxo, they were exploring SAFe. They knew that if they wanted to deliver master large-scale software delivery, they needed to be more agile in their methods. So a team were drafted in of consultants mostly, to train all the IT employees in SAFe. And we all went through the training courses. But they also wanted to look at how Saxo delivered and responded to business needs. So they set up a lot of ways of actually sort of categorizing projects as they were defined, finding ways of determining priorities for projects, etc., which some of those processes are still in place now. Because Saxo had ambition, huge ambition, Kim Fournay being the driver behind that, because he's a very, very strong-willed and ambitious person. But Saxo wanted to grow, and it wanted to grow exponentially, so not just small scale. It had huge ambitions, and it wanted to acquire businesses, and I've already mentioned that around that time they acquired Bink, and they wanted to also, and this is at the heart of what Saxo wants to do, they want to democratize finance. So what does that mean? Democratizing finance means making trading, making buying and selling shares available to absolutely anyone. And I heard a colleague say the other day that his 84-year-old mother-in-law has now got a Saxo trading account and is buying and selling shares. That's really the epitome of Saxo's dream. They don't want it to be only available to traders and guys on Wall Street or blokes on Canary Wharf in London who know what they're doing. He wants it to be everybody who can use their systems and make money for themselves. And Saxo also, I guess, they want to be the best in the world. They want to be the go-to place for partners, for individuals, and for everyone. So how do they do that? Because those are lofty ambitions and unpredictable times. And as Gunter said, those unpredictable environment that we're in now, it existed before COVID. It's just COVID brought it all to the fore and really allowed us to see who will sink and who will swim. So business agility and minimum viable bureaucracy, they really have common principles. If you look at minimum viable bureaucracy as being more sort of in the region of IT, which is really where we use the concepts, the business also has to meet the same sort of principles. So it's very similar to Scrum, it's transparency, inspection, adaptation. So being absolutely clear with everyone what the rules are and what we have to do to deliver. And adapting as we go and being very lean. So the processes must not strangle the business. So I've worked at some very large companies where just the process of getting software from ready to deploy to deployed was extraordinarily difficult. So lots and lots of forums, forms, sign-offs, check-ins, all sorts of things, some systems driven, many manual. And it could sometimes take longer to get a system actually into production once it was ready to go than it had been to develop it in the first place. So it's really important that these processes are lean. And also this idea of continual experimentation. So we need to keep challenging our processes, and that's what we're trying to do in Saxo. So it is the minimum, it is what is viable, but let's limit the bureaucracy. We need to have some, we need to have controls, obviously, but we need to make sure that they meet their needs, meet the needs of the business and suit their purpose. We mustn't over-engineer things. And we need to constantly have our people learning and challenging. So that's another key part of MVB, is allowing the people who are using these processes to challenge their validity, to challenge why we're using them in the first place. So in Saxo in IT, we visualize our work as you would expect in any sort of agile IT business. We are very, very disciplined, thanks to some of my team who are here today, in the use of OKRs. So we document our objectives. What are we trying to achieve? And what are the key results that we're aiming to see that will demonstrate that we've achieved those objectives? And we use boards, Kanbans, etc. So all of those things are pretty standard. We coach, we facilitate so that we continuously improve. But key to it all is a clear and communicated IT strategy. So we need to make sure we keep our eye on the long-term ambitions and the commitment to supporting Saxo, but we also keep a very close eye on what's in the near term. And a working example of MVB, which if this still isn't 100% clear, is something we call low-risk CAB. So if a deployment that an IT team is wanting to make is considered to be low risk, so it's an update, it's a bug fix, it's and it's been fully tested and we're confident that nothing will change, there's a low risk CAB process which allows those approvals to be given very, very quickly, often by email, no meetings needed. It's not a weekly kind of gathering of the good and the great. So this just minimizes red tape and governance and allows us to deploy more frequently. I think when I started in our platforms team, and they're the teams that deploy the apps to customers, they were probably deploying once every 2 weeks. They're now deploying multiple times per day. And that's really what MVB can get you. So it's a concept that's probably now quite intuitive to everyone on this call. We've probably all seen examples of it in our own companies, but it can get you to deliver faster but in a safe way, and that's what's really, really important. So what's been communicated to the IT functions is the minimum that's expected to minimize risk and to deliver value and to protect the business and clients. So that's the key to this whole journey that Saxo have been on. They've been able to deliver quickly with the minimum risk. Okay, so our ways of working. We do small scale and large scale agile. And our ways of working, we believe we empower our people to work when, where, and how they choose. So the flexibility is important as well for our people, with minimum constraints so that they can optimize their performance. But COVID-19, hello?
Hi, Janet, just wanted to do a quick time check. In 5 minutes,
Okay.
we'll start with the Q&A as well.
No problem, I've only got 2 more slides. Okay. But COVID-19, there's a people dimension to this. So I've talked about the processes, and I've talked about how the IT teams can respond to requests from the business by being more agile in their approaches and having this minimum viable bureaucracy. But this has been unprecedented, and I wanted to call out the people dimension, particularly the people dimension in India. No business is successful without their people being successful and without their people being happy and engaged and willing to work. And this has really challenged us all. The majority of our IT team work out of Delhi. And at the start of the pandemic, all India staff were sent home. With IT equipment and anything else, they needed to continue to work. But as the cases have surged, Saxo's also tried to focus on care and relief of team members and their families. And we've tried through cutting down red tape, business agility, MVB, even in the HR areas. You know, we've reduced finance approvals. The HR rules have been relaxed. We've allowed ourselves to deliver for our people as much as for ourselves, for the clients. Yeah. So in summary, the pandemic has had a devastating effect on people's lives, but Saxo continues to work with their teams on improved ways of working. We're not done. We're absolutely not done. I have a team of agile coaches who support IT in that endeavor. And as I said before, many are facilitating today. And it's down to their vigilance and fortitude that we have the tools that we need to deliver value and continue to grow, but also flex when necessary. So hats off to my team. But Saxo have also, not only have they thrived in this crisis time and survived, they've also responded with fortitude, compassion and energy. And it is the energy that the employees feel. We've definitely felt part of a team, sharing a goal and vision, and we continually support and communicate with all the employees so that we're able to thrive and survive. Okay, thank you.
Thanks, Janet. It was pretty enriching, I think, for most of us. I mean, a lot of things I could definitely relate to. Thanks so much.
Yeah. Okay.
Okay, we'll open for questions. I see 2 hands raised. Manoranjan, if you could just unmute yourself and ask your question.
Hello.
Hi there.
Are you able to hear me?
Yes.
My question is just we had in product development, we had MVP, minimum viable products. Now you are telling bureaucracy. How it differs, bureaucracy and products?
Well, I think that's probably...
You are talking about business agility, I understood. But bureaucracy, how it is coming into the picture?
Okay, so the concept is actually very similar to a minimum viable product, and it's probably where they got the name from. Because if you think about what a minimum viable product is, it's the least that you need to deliver to be viable for the customer to use. So it's the same with the bureaucracy. It's the minimum that we need to do to be able to deliver our software applications into production without tying us up in red tape. So that's where the bureaucracy element comes in. So yes, the naming is very similar, but it's a slightly different turn on it.
Oh, something different methodology or?
Yeah, well, it's not even a methodology, really. It's just it's something that we try and achieve all the time. So we challenge our processes so that we don't overcomplicate something that's actually could be simple.
Okay, thank you.
No problem.
Thanks, Conrad.
Thank you.
Pushpahas, if you could unmute yourself, please, and ask a question.
Can you hear me, Jeanette?
Yes. Hi. Hi. Yes.
Yeah. So it was really a very good session, and obviously in the context of the pandemic and all of that. So I'll just again reiterate a couple of items that basically caught my eye. So you spoke about that the client onboarding basically there was a surge, there was upward trend for that, and
Yeah.
you should feel proud about that. And secondly, you also spoke about how basically you have implemented OKR, and then how basically your release frequency got better, reduced from few weeks to few days. So I just wanted to ask you, Jeanette, one example that you might want to share with us, a practical example from OKR point of view, relating to one of the key objectives that Saxo you put right on the top of the list, and how basically you integrated that with your engineering practices to get the benefit out of it.
Well, I think one of our objectives, and it's been one that's been in focus through the whole of 2020 during the pandemic, was the migration of our Bank clients onto our platform. So you can imagine we're growing exponentially, we're trebling our normal client base, and we're trying to move new clients from a bank that we've bought onto our platform. So we're actually bringing across their data, their assets, their funds while we're growing. And we're having to do those migrations at weekends. So I think that's an example of where we set the objective. Okay, we need to move these clients across. Then we had to say, and what are the key results? So how do we execute on those migrations? How do we do so without causing any downtime or any impact on current clients, and also clients that are joining us? So the onboarding, as you said, has been very, very challenging, and that really has been one of the main objectives of 2020, and it's been broken down into manageable pieces throughout the year. So OKRs for us are quarterly, and the migration plans have been broken right down into waves, into quarters, into months, sometimes into weeks, so that we could really see what we were managing, but also what the key results should be. So we've set very clear metrics on that migration journey. So we've said, how many clients do we want to migrate in a period of time? What does success look like? So we've measured and we've managed those key results. But we've done so with as little bureaucracy as possible. And that's what I have to keep stressing again, is that the team that are leading that project is very small, and their path to KIM is very short. So that's the other thing that Saxo enjoys, is a very, very flat management structure. And day to day, they can get to KIM if they need to, who's our CEO, for decision making. So that, I think that's another key part. But thank you. And
also, maybe if I may add to this, and how automation has played a pivotal role, maybe in this whole journey. Would you like to maybe just take a minute to talk about it, please?
Yeah, and we're automating all the time. And I have to confess that when I joined in 2018, not much was automated, but we've been working on that consciously in IT. And one of our OKRs this quarter is actually more and more automation. We've managed to move one of our typical day-to-day processes, which is opening a firewall. We all know how painful that can be sometimes. We've managed to move that from taking 2 weeks to 10 minutes by using an automation tool that we've purchased. So we're constantly challenging, but no one is perfect, and Saxo is not perfect. But we constantly look at how we can make things easier for our customers, and those are internal customers and external customers, by using as many tools as possible. Okay.
Thank you so much, Janet, for the explanation.
Okay.
Thank you.
No problem.
Thank you. Okay, I see Yashas as well. Hi, Yashas. Can you please unmute yourself and ask a question?
Thanks, Ashwin. Yeah, thanks, Janet, for the case study. I have a quick question.
No problem. Yeah.
Since considering the industry you are in, right, financial services, and then moving that from work from home, I just wanted to check, how were you able to actually maintain all the controls that come with the rules and regulations of being in this particular industry versus some of the other industries where it may not have that much of an impact. Taking case in terms of data governance, maintaining clients' data, although it should be confidential versus not, exposing it when people are working from home. I know you did mention about the firewall, but I'm just how were you able to make such a big change considering the
absolutely
industry?
No, and it is a very, very good question. I mean, before Corona, not everyone in India, for example, had a laptop because mostly they worked in the office on a proper, good connected computer. But what we did in IT is we created what we call domain joined laptops, and we issued them to all employees. So a domain joined laptop is not coming in through a VPN. It's domain joined, so it actually connects directly. And we've upgraded our network, and we've created a lot more security for the India teams. We actually had to double the capacity in India just to allow people to work from home, as you can imagine. But it is a really, really good question, and it's something that we look at all the time. We use a lot of third parties to help us with our security. So we have a lot of tools in place that protect our data centers and protect our connectivity. And no one is completely immune to attacks. But actually, people working at home has not made a fundamental difference to the way that we work in terms of security and protecting the data. But we have had to tighten up some of our networks for sure, and increase capacity. But giving people the right equipment to be able to work from home has been key to that. So,
sure. Thank you.
Thanks.
Okay.
Thanks. Alberto, I see your question. I think we'll have to take that offline because we've already overshot the time by a minute. So we'll have to wrap this up. Thanks so much, Jeanette, for your time today.
No problem. No problem at all. I can see lots of comments in the chat, so I'll have a look through those as well.
Perfect. Thank you.
Okay. Thank you.